Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle and I'm currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. In the previous episode, I talked about how I found out that Brandon and Caitlin did not return their marriage license. And in turn, that made me believe that they were not married. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about basically everything I felt and thought that night and some other stuff that I saw. So yeah, y'all, here it goes. So I am looking at the website, y'all, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. June 2021, Brandon and Caitlin got a notice that they had to return their marriage license. Now, mind you, at this time, it is December 2022, 18 months later. So I'm thinking, okay, they didn't return the marriage license. Does that mean they're not married? Because, y'all, I've never been married before, so I didn't know how the process goes. But if you don't turn in your marriage license, the state doesn't recognize that you're married. But I just wanted to be sure. So I went on Google and I typed in, if a couple doesn't return their marriage license, what does that mean? And in the results, I saw that if a couple doesn't return their marriage license within, the time period, then they would have to get a new marriage license and do the process all over again. So I'm just going through Google results and it's basically saying the same thing. So I'm like, oh my goodness, y'all. Brandon and Caitlin are not married. And in that moment, y'all, I was in awe because I was shocked. Because to be honest, y'all, the entire time that I saw them in 2022, starting from March 2022, I really believe they're married. Now, here's the thing, though. Something I did remember was back in, was it October? I remember, I'm like, man, how come anytime I check the addresses and I see Caitlin's name, I always see Caitlin Green. I don't see Caitlin Moore. I asked God, like, hey, God, give me a sign if Brandon and Caitlin are not married. And God did not give me a sign. And the reason why he didn't give me a sign is because he wanted me to figure it out by myself. Well, he led me to it, but he wanted me to see it for myself. And then that also made me think about March 2022, y'all. Remember when I found out about Brandon and Caitlin's wedding pictures and, BB and Lily? Oh, I knew about Lily before, but BB, I remember like, God, why would you do this to me? Why would you tell me to pray for a married man? Y'all, Brandon wasn't even married. Brandon wasn't even married. And I was looking at God crazy, like, God, why would you put me in this situation? Why would you do this to me? He wasn't even married. So I'm like, why would they do that? Why would you go on the internet and lie about being married? And another thing that I found out, y'all, I went to Caitlin's Instagram and I looked at her picture, her post of the day that she gave birth to BB. I looked at her wristband, y'all, her hospital wristband. It said Caitlin Green. Now, mind you, she gave birth to BB September 12th. The wedding, the Timu wedding, the Timu wedding was April 17th. And she's on Instagram calling herself Mrs. Moore, Caitlin Moore. She changed her last name on Instagram, calling herself Mrs. Moore. But the state of Oklahoma don't know you as Mrs. Moore because you're not married to Mr. Moore. I'm like, why would they do this? And I'm looking at Brandon like, what? Brandon, why would you live a lie on social media? And not even that, y'all. I remember seeing a picture of Brandon and his mother at the wedding, and he was crying. Like, what are you crying for, Brandon? You did not return the marriage license. So that made me to think, like, why didn't Brandon return the marriage license? Because he knew he didn't want to marry Caitlin. Now, another part of me was like, okay, does Caitlin know that she's not married? Like, because remember, Lily was a pawn back in 2016, 2017. BB also was a pawn. Everything's all a pawn. Oklahoma, the business is all, Caitlyn is using all of that to trap Brandon. I know Caitlyn wanted to be married to Brandon this entire time. So you mean to tell me that Caitlyn is with Brandon and she's not married to him? Does she know that? Is she okay with that? So I'm confused by that at that moment. Like, does Caitlyn know that she's not married? I mean, she has to know. She hasn't seen a marriage certificate. But how is she okay with that? Now, later on, that question gets answered. And also another thing, Lily and BB. On social media, Caitlyn refers to them as Lily Moore, BB Moore. I'm starting to think, did Brandon change Lily's last name? I mean, in order for him to do that, I feel like he would have to legally adopt her. Did he do that? When Caitlyn gave birth to BB, did Brandon sign off on the birth certificate and all of that? So now I'm starting to think that those kids don't even have his last name either. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, why would they? And you know what? You know what's so funny? Something that I did remember was a reconnection post, y'all. I remember when I saw that reconnection post, it was just so much noise, y'all. The stories, the captions, it was a whole thesis. It was a lot of noise. And I remember saying to myself, like, why do I feel like he's not actually going to marry her? Because I feel like guys who do the most on social media about a girl, they're trying to cover up that they don't really like the girl, whatever. I remember thinking that day. That why do I feel like all these noises that they're making on social media is a mask? See, y'all, this is why. When it comes to social media, you gotta take it with a grain of salt sometimes. Now, there are people who are truly married and truly in loving relationships and they post themselves. That is true. While y'all, there are people out there on social media who are faking it, i.e. Caitlyn and Brandon. Y'all, Brandon and Caitlyn were committing relationship fraud. You're lying to people's faces on social media claiming that you're married. You lied to your family. You lied to your friends. I'm like, why would Brandon do that? And then I said to myself, I said, you know what? Brandon lied about everything. Whether Caitlyn got him into the lie or whatever, Brandon lied. He created a facade on social media. He created a facade for his family and friends. Those lies are going to point him into the face and put him to shame. The same lies he curated in front of his family on social media, they're going to come back and point him into his face and bring shame to him. So I'm like, okay, they're not married. Okay, they're not married. I'm like, this is crazy. I don't know why Brandon got himself caught up in this, but I'm like, I'm glad he didn't marry her because Shorty was crazy. She was a Looney Tune. So I'm glad Brandon didn't marry her. But it's like, okay, you didn't marry her, but what's the plan? Do you plan to leave when BB and Lily are of age or something? Like, I don't know. What's the plan? You didn't marry her. Why are you there? So it's like, I don't understand. You know, I was like, I don't understand. So I remember just being so shocked, y'all. I went back to Brandon's Instagram and Caitlyn's Instagram, and I remember seeing a video of their reaction video to the wedding. Now, I saw the video back in July. I watched it for like a couple of seconds, and then I just exited out of the video. But I said, you know what, let me go back to that video. So they were at a mall. They're at a mall, and the wedding video was sent to them. So they did a reaction video. Y'all, Caitlyn was crying in that video. Okay? I'm looking at Brandon. All Brandon is doing is wiping his face, but I didn't see any tears. Now, Brandon wears glasses. So in the video, he was wearing his glasses and he took the glasses off, acting like he was so emotional, y'all. There was nothing coming out of his eyes. I'm like, oh my goodness. Am I looking at Brandon more or Shamar more? Because let me tell you, Brandon's acting was impeccable. Like, Brandon was acting the husband role to a T. He was acting the father role to a T. People were really calling them relationship goals on Instagram, but they were committing relationship fraud. Now, at this time, I'm still writing a likely story, updating the story in my notebook, and I'm like, man, when I tell this side of the story on YouTube, Caitlyn's followers, Brandon's followers are going to be in on a ride. So yeah, y'all, Brandon and Caitlyn were not married. To be honest, I'm like, all that lying for what? All that faking for what? For what? Now, another thing I do want to mention. So I find out that they're not married. I'm looking at pictures. I'm looking at body language in their videos. I remember saying to myself, and this comes back later on in the story, I'm like, okay, when I saw the live, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like they had any chemistry going on. I looked at pictures and videos of Brandon kissing and hugging. I'm looking at Brandon's body language. And I said to myself that, okay, Brandon and Caitlyn are not married, right? But from the body language, from the way Brandon is hugging Caitlyn, the kisses, I'm like, they are not an intimate couple. I wouldn't be surprised if they do not have sex. Now, mind you, you shouldn't have sex before marriage. You shouldn't. But they portray to be a married couple. So let's say they were really married. I'm like, these two are not having sex. No. These two are not intimate. And I'm just going to keep it at that. Later on, I'm going to get more into that. Okay? So, yeah, y'all. Brandon and Caitlyn, they weren't married. What else did I find out? Oh, another thing. Y'all, I looked up Caitlyn's ring. I saw it on Etsy for like $120, $140. Because I'm like, okay, if Brandon is in a fake relationship with Caitlyn, I'm very sure he did not spend that much money on the wedding ring. So yeah, I found Caitlyn's wedding ring on Etsy for $140. Some other prices were lower. I didn't see anything up to $200. So I'm thinking, did Brandon buy Caitlyn a used wedding ring? Did he get it from Etsy? Because I found the ring on Etsy. So that was what I was thinking about. And also, too, I thought it was weird that Brandon had multiple wedding bands. I think at this time he had like 2 or so. I'm like, well, why does he have multiple wedding bands? I'm like, okay, I don't get... Y'all, I did not understand what type of arrangement Brandon and Caitlyn had going on. Because I don't know how you can go on the internet and say you're married, but the state of Oklahoma don't even know that you're married. They don't know that you're married because they never got a marriage license from y'all. Y'all don't have a marriage certificate. And you're parading around as a married couple. You're lying to family and friends that you are a married couple. And I'm like, man, all these lies. It's like, how are they comfortable just living a lie and just faking it? How? So yeah, y'all, that was what I found out that night. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Also, I do want to correct myself too. When I saw the website, it did not say remarriage Caitlyn Moore. It said Caitlyn Green. That was my mistake. So yeah, that was that, y'all. And now I kind of looked silly in the situation because, y'all, remember I was looking at God like, God, if Brandon wants to be with Caitlyn, let him be with Caitlyn. Let's forget about this whole thing. Let's just move on. Brandon, he wants to stay with her. Why am I praying for him? Y'all, I had no idea what was going on in Norman, Oklahoma. I had no idea. And to be honest, y'all, when was this? This was December 2022? Yeah. Way more information was revealed to me after that day. Y'all, be careful of who you follow on social media. Some of these people who are influencers, quote unquote, some of them, they're lying. They're lying. The person they present on social media is not who they are in real life. And because you guys don't know them in real life, they are hoping and banking that you believe the persona that they present on social media. Because you don't know them in real life. How'd you know that they're lying? Right? Some of these influencers, yeah, they're lying, and mentally their mind is just not there. So you really got to be careful who you follow, who you allow to minister to you, who you allow to influence. But yeah, y'all. So yeah, Brandon and Caitlyn did not get married in 2021, y'all. So I'm going to end the episode right here. In the next episode, I'm going to cover the rest of December. And then I'm going to get into January 2023 in the next episode after the next episode. So if you're liking an Unlikely Story, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please also share my videos as well. And until next time, y'all. Bye.